off here. So,
all right. What we're going to do is a couple weeks ago, I got help from JP Marietta and Dave Rast and John Quick helped me out. And we put together a video. This video is going to cover pitching, and it's going to last about 18 minutes. Following the video, there's two other items that I'll have to admit I forgot to put them in when we shot the video. So I have examples of the two things that I left out. And when we get done with that, then we will open it up for questions and answers. And Jeff Varela will be on hand to help answer some of those. I'll answer some of those. This, for the local Albuquerque guys, you've seen me do some variation of this for quite a few years, but we're going to go ahead and give this a go here. I'm going to start sharing my screen and see if this works. And here we go. And once this starts, let me know, first of all, if we've got a good view of the screen. And once I get it started, make sure that we get the audio. Somebody shoot me a note that if you see that.
We see it.
Roger, okay.
Okay, your sound, Tom, if you share your screen again. Share your screen again, and then there's two little checkboxes at the bottom that says share sound when you select the video that you want to share.
Okay, Nate, you got to help me out here. Where is this share the audio thing?
Go ahead and hit the share screen again.
I did.
Or new share. Select your screen, which is your video. And then at the bottom, there's two check boxes.
I see no check boxes.
Okay. So you're on your video. So go to your little I don't know how to explain it.
Let's try this.
So stop share.
From Albuquerque, and today we're going to talk about pitching.
Yay!
Not just the pitching rules, but
Was that working?
Yep, there you go.
the other rules within the high school rule book that are associated to a pitcher. Starting off with uniforms. Uniforms for an individual player, the sleeves need to be approximately the same length. However, for a pitcher, they cannot be white or gray. So this shirt would be illegal. For compression sleeves are allowed as long as they're solid black or a solid dark color. This one doesn't conform to that. Also, a pitcher cannot have a glove that is white or gray. Notice that this glove has gray on it. This would be not allowed in a high school game. So the vest type jersey, like I'm wearing today, is acceptable with a white shirt underneath it, as long as this white shirt does not extend below the elbow. And pitchers cannot wear anything on their hands, wrists, or arms that would be distracting to the hitter. Who decides what's distracting to the hitter? You do, the umpire. So things that are on my hands, arms that are distracting are not allowed. Also, tape on the fingers, a tape or a bandage is not allowed if it could possibly come in contact with the baseball. So in this case, this tape on my hand is coming in contact with the baseball is not allowed. Also, tape on the glove hand would be allowed until the pitcher does this. Now that tape is coming in contact with the baseball and it's not allowed. No jewelry, no earrings, nose rings, whatever else, no jewelry can be worn. Also a bandana. This would not be legal in a high school game. The penalty for that is a warning. Next offender would be ejected from the game. Now we're going to talk about the pitching regulation. The pitcher must take the sign in contact with the pitching plate, and the pitching regulations begin when the pitcher intentionally contacts the pitching plate. Also in Rule 611, it says the pitcher can't turn his shoulders after coming set. So after coming set, I can't turn my shoulders like this. And then I can't quick pitch, which would be to receive the ball back from the catcher, step on the rubber, and then throw. I can't do that. Okay? For the wind-up position, the feet decide whether you're in the wind-up or the set, and the feet on the wind-up position, the non-pivot foot, in my case, that's my left foot, must be on or behind a line extending through the front edge of the pitching rubber. This is a perfectly legal position. This would be a legal position as long as part of my non-pivot foot is not entirely in front of the pitching rubber. This, where my non-pivot foot is clearly entirely in front of the pitching plate, is not allowed in high school baseball. I can start with my hands apart. I can start with my hands together. I can start with my hands apart, then bring them together and pause here, and then go into the windup. Other situations, you're going to see the pitcher start at a little bit of an angle. That's okay as long as the non-pivot foot is at least in part behind that front edge of the pitching rubber. What they can't do is turn all the way like this and pitch from the windup. From this position, in high school baseball, the pitcher can either step off or deliver a pitch. Those are the only two options. Can't throw a pickoff move from right here. To step off, I must step off within the boundary of the pitching plate. I can't step off to the side. That is not a legal disengagement of the rubber. If I want to change from the windup to the set position, I must step off clearly first, then step into the set position. Any movement associated with the natural delivery commits the pitcher to pitch. So once I'm here like this, I've got the sign. Any movement that would normally be, whether it's just the step back or the starting up of the hands, would commit the pitcher to throw a pitch. The pitcher can, let's say a runner stealing home, I can speed up my motion to throw to the plate. But what I can't do is I can't wind up and go. So I can't stop or pause in the middle of my delivery. For the set position, the ball can be in either hand, whether it's the bare hand or whether it's the glove. It can be at my side or behind my back. The pivot foot now must be directly in front of, in contact with, and parallel to the pitching plate. The non-pivot foot must be entirely in front of the pitching plate. It is allowable to pitch with only part of the foot in contact with, but it still has to be directly in front of, in contact with, and parallel to. It can't be twisted to the side. So only part of the pivot foot needs to be in contact with the pitching plate. To disengage the pitching rubber needs to be a step behind the pitching plate and clearly on the ground before the disengagement is complete, and then can throw to a base or change to the wind-up position. To come set, I must come set in one continuous motion and come to a complete and discernible stop. I can't have multiple sets with my hands or multiple leg movements. Those were two illegal moves right there. One continuous motion and to come set. When I come set, I must come set with my entire body with the glove at or below my chin. So if any part of that glove is at or below my chin, what I can't do is come set up here. That is not a legal set. I can vary where I come set. Those are, a single pitcher can do that anytime they want. Also from this, at any time I can turn and throw to first, or I can make a pickoff attempt to a base. I don't have to come to a complete stop. I can, at any time as I'm in motion here, I can make a pickoff attempt. A pickoff attempt, I can pivot on my pivot foot and throw to a base as long as I step ahead of the throw. I must come to a complete and discernible stop before I deliver a pitch. Once I have disengaged the rubber and I throw to a base, I'm just like any other infielder. What that means is a throw from the pitching plate that goes out of play, we would award 1 base. A throw not from the pitching plate to a base that goes out of play, we would award 2 bases. That's not always evident to the fans, but that is something that should be evident to us, and we need to enforce that appropriately. If a pitcher were to drop the ball during delivery, for instance, it slips out of his hands, if that ball crosses the foul line, it would be ruled a ball. If it does not cross the foul line and there are runners on base, it would be a balk. If there are no runners on base, then it's no pitch and we'll just do it again. Now we're going to talk about some illegal acts by a pitcher. Applying a foreign substance to the ball. For instance, if I had something in my glove here and I could maybe apply that pine tar or something to the ball, that would be illegal. Spit on the ball, spit on the glove, those would be illegal. I can't rub the ball on my clothing or with my hands if it defaces the ball. I can't discolor the ball with dirt. If any of those items happen, it's an immediate dead ball, and you may eject the pitcher for that offense depending on the situation. Personally, I would probably tell the pitcher they can't do that. I'd give them a warning and let it go from there. If it were to happen again, I would probably eject at that time. Next is, if I'm not in contact with the pitching plate, I can lick my fingers as long as I wipe off before I contact the baseball. If I lick my fingers and go directly to the baseball, it becomes an illegal pitch if that pitch is delivered. An illegal pitch with runners on base is a balk. If they're on the pitching plate and they lick their fingers, the award is a ball or a balk. If there's runners on base, it's a balk. If there's no runners on base, we just award a ball. I said earlier about tape or bandages on the hands or fingers that could come in contact with the baseball. That's illegal. A glove or mitt that is white or gray, and then of course the gray exposed undershirt is also illegal. A pitcher is not allowed to delay the game. Once they've received the ball, they have 20 seconds to either deliver a pitch or feint or throw a pickoff attempt. So they could, they need to have initiate some sort of a play within 20 seconds. Now we're going to talk about balks. In order for a balk to happen, you have to have runners on base. And in most cases, the pitcher has to be in contact with the pitching plate, and I'll explain that as we go along here. A pitch that is started and then stopped, never thrown, that would be a balk with runners on base. A fake to first base, for whatever reason, from the pitching rubber, a fake to first base is a balk. A pickoff attempt where the throw goes to first base, but the first baseman is not in a position to make a play on that runner. For instance, playing behind the runner by 20 feet. Even if the pitcher throws the ball, without that first baseman being in position to make a play, that would be a balk. Turning the shoulders after coming set. Come set and then turn your shoulders to look at the runner, that's a balk. They can turn their shoulders ahead of time, but after they've come set, they can't turn the shoulders. Dropping the ball while in contact with the pitching plate. You got a pitcher that's rolling the ball around in their hand and then they drop it. That would be a balk. All these balks that I have just mentioned, I have seen in a high school game, and I've seen videos of them happening in major league games, so the chances of us seeing them on a high school field is probably pretty good. Other balks, I'm going to demonstrate this one to third base, but it's a very common one for left-handers throwing to first base, is they must step directly towards the base and make the throw on a pickoff attempt. What they continually try to do is step more and more towards home plate. The interpretation is that if they step within 45 degrees of directly to the base, that's directly to the base. What they can't do is this, and throw to first base. That step was almost directly towards home. And for a left-handed pitcher, I'm not left-handed, I can't really demonstrate it, but it's the same thing to the reverse going to first base. And most of the time, the home plate umpire would be the one who would be able to see whether that step was towards first base or not. I can't, from the pitching plate, fake a throw to an unoccupied base unless it's for the purposes of making a play. And when would there be making a play to an unoccupied base? Let's say there's runners at first and second. It's 3-2, 2 outs, and the runner at second base takes off way early going to third, and the pitcher looks at him running, and then he just throws to third base. That's an attempt to make a play. That would be okay. An illegal pitch with runners on base is also a balk, and then failing to pitch in one continuous motion. So I come set, and then I do something like that. That's a started and stop. That would be a balk. Taking your hand off the ball after coming set, something like that. That would be a balk. Okay. Disengaging the pitching plate with the non-pivot foot. Now I've seen this one at the freshman level, where actually there's another one I've seen at the freshman level, but this one I've seen they go like this, and then to disengage the rubber they go like this. Okay. Which one was legal? Okay. I have to disengage with my pivot foot, so I'm a right-handed pitcher. Disengaging like that is legal. Disengaging like this is not. The other thing that I've seen, and this one is one of the last balks I mentioned, is if a pitcher were to get on the pitching rubber and then disengage the pitching rubber, but now bring their hands up like this in order to get the runner at first to run, that would be a balk because they're simulating their pitching motion, not in contact with the rubber. And then the next one would be a double set. They come set here and then again with the hands, or we talked about it multiple times with the feet. That's one that you may see fairly regularly. A lot of the kids now are playing in club ball or summer ball, and that move is allowed. But it is not allowed in high school baseball. The NFHS says that is a balk. When the entire non-pivot foot, sometimes referred to as the stride foot, passes the back edge of the pitching plate, the pitcher is committed to pitch or make a pickoff or a fake to second base. So this, they can fake, they can go like this and pitch. Those are legal, but if that entire foot crosses the back edge of the pitching plate, they're committed to a pitch or an attempt at second base. Legal things that a pitcher can do, I can come set at different places. I can come set at different speeds. A single pitcher can do all those on subsequent pitches. There's nothing wrong with that. You can vary where they come set. They can vary how fast they come set. The other one that has been become illegal in professional baseball is the fake to third and the throw to first. In high school baseball, that is still legal. As long as the step to third is directly towards third, and again, that's within the 45, but they have to disengage the pitching rubber and come back. What they can't do is something like this. I never came off the pitching plate. That would be a balk in that situation.
All right, back on the mic here. Couple things, several of you picked up on it. The going to the mouth thing this year is not allowed. There's no going to the mouth under any circumstances. If we have that happen, the rules still apply as far as whether he's on the pitching plate or not, where it could be a balk or we would award a ball to the batter. But in addition to that, we will stop play. We will throw that baseball out. We'll get the pitcher to sanitize his hands. And I had a couple games over the weekend, and yes, we saw all of that. So, you'll have to pay attention to that. There are two other things that I left out, and I'm going to bring one of them up here and share the screen again. And it's going to be, see if we do this. I just want to show this. I mentioned that in the video that pitcher has to have the ball in his bare hand behind his backside. This stands for a pitcher taking a sign. Can you guys see that? Anyway, this they can bend over at the waist, and what's that?
Tom, yeah, you're still on the same screen, so go to new share and then you'll have to select the other video. There you go. There you are. Yep. There you go.
Okay. All right. This stance is legal as long as the arm is not swinging back and forth. It needs to be pretty much motionless, and they can take the sign legally with the pitch dangling like that. Okay, so let me do one more here. I want to show one other balk. All right, where did it go? Nate, help me out here. Where'd you're not seeing the video, are you?
It just came up, Tom, and now it's gone.
Yeah, Tom, if you were talking about the no step, it came up and then it went away. Now you're in your video folders, or
yeah, I'm not. These are not my folders. I don't know where this stuff comes from. Let me try this again. There we go. Okay. Can you see that?
Yes.
yeah, you got it. Yep.
Okay. This one is a no step balk by a right-handed pitcher. And what I want you to specifically watch is the pitcher's feet, specifically his left foot. This is a right-handed pitcher. Notice that he essentially pivots on that front foot. He doesn't actually take a step. That is why this is a balk. He doesn't take a step towards first base. He just pivots on that front foot. And that was another one that's probably at my age a little bit difficult to demonstrate out there on the mound, but this guy does a great job of demonstrating it for me. And I have seen that in high school baseball, and everything that you saw in on that video, as far as the gray sleeves, the compression sleeve, the tape on the hands, the wristband, the earrings. I've seen all that in high school baseball. And yes, I have seen fingernail polish on a player. In fact, it wasn't fingernail polish, but they were fluorescent yellow stickers that were used by a starting catcher who later came in to pitch, and he still had them on his hand, and we made him take them off. So those are the types of things that you're going to see. Let's see, on my notes here, there was a couple other things COVID related for pitchers this year. And Dusty mentioned them. A pitcher cannot wear a white or gray mask on the COVID mask. It can't be white or gray. This weekend I was at Rio Rancho, and everybody on the team has a dark blue mask, and there's a white baseball on it and a white RR on the other side. I did not find that distracting, and the mask itself was essentially dark blue, so I didn't have a problem with that, and nobody really said a word about it. There was another comment that about rubbing up baseballs and stuff. We are still responsible for the condition of the baseballs. We can't handle the baseballs this year. If a pitcher wants to rub dirt on the baseball, he does it under the supervision of the umpire. So make sure that you take a good look. You don't just let them discolor the baseball by rubbing it in the dirt. Because when the balls were getting thrown in from the dugout, in most cases, the balls were in good condition. A couple of times it was a brand new baseball that had never been rubbed up. So kind of expect that as the season goes on. All right. That is our presentation, and we're right about on the schedule that I expected, right about 30 minutes here. We're going to go ahead and open it up for questions related to, essentially pitching. And, go ahead and raise a hand. And Jeff, I will let you start fielding the first question or two.
Pat, Divine, you've got your hand up if you want to lower it down.
Well, Tom, maybe I can just start the discussion while we're waiting for questions to come in. The first, as a under 20-year umpire, and having learned from you and others in the Central Group over the years, one of the issues that has made it tough for me on calling balks, particularly in a two-man crew, is this step to the base, directly to the base, and then this 45-degree angle. And I think it's a lot more difficult to determine that, especially with a two-man system. But any comments from others about this? Because the rule book obviously says has to step directly towards the base. And there's been times when base coaches will call a balk and challenge me for not calling the balk. So I'd love to hear some comments from anyone on this, and maybe some tricks or some ways to handle these kind of situations better. That's one of the questions I had.
Well, as a rule of thumb for me, and Dave, I'll let you chime in next, or John, but what I'm looking for as a plate umpire on a step to first base by, for instance, a left-handed pitcher, is some sort of distance and direction towards first base. And no, I don't have the best angle at that, but if his stride foot comes down in line with his back foot, he didn't gain any distance towards first base. So space between the legs, that you can see daylight through there, that's an indication that he did step at least in part towards first base. And So, that's kind of a rule that how I've looked at it. Dave or John?
Well, yeah, daylight and distance is always a good rule. Yet the first base coach probably has a lot better angle than you. And I'm going to hear him out if they're calling balks, but, I'm also going to tell him, hey, balks are my call. I'm going to try to get it. And, I'm going to try not to go to the pro answer and and shout at him, but it's, look, if there's a balk there, I'm going to call it.
So
Yeah.
guys, Pat Devine has had his hand up for a while. Pat, do you want to lower your hand and ask your question?
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. The one thing that I've seen is the pitcher engages the pitcher's plate with his glove and offhand together, and then he breaks the hand as he's getting the signal. So he's engaged the rubber with his hands together, and then he breaks it to get the signal. Technically, that's a balk because he does not start his motion to the plate. What should we do in that situation?
If he just got his hands together and he's adjusting the ball momentarily, as he's coming onto the plate, Pat, I'm not gonna, bang him for that one. But if he's got his hands together, if he's locked when he steps on the plate, he has made that decision to do that. He has been not been properly coached,
Yeah.
or trained, and he committed a balk. The real quick way to teach some of these kids to do this is to inflict a little bit of pain. Hey, that's a balk. Boom, I move him to second base. And you always get the coach. Well, what about a warning? Well, if he does it again, he'll be at third base. So there's your warning. So
Yeah, not a warning on the balk. Yeah.
no, it's not a warnable thing. It's a violation of the rules. They're doing something that puts the offense at a disadvantage. He's got to know.
Okay.
And
Just
probably
asking.
a little more lenient at the JV freshman level.
Yeah, I think I would
if
call timeout in that case. Call the coach
Right.
out and explain what's going on.
Right.
And say, if he does it again, I'm going to call a balk. And then the coach doesn't have any recourse.
But let the coach him, because if you go out there and try to coach him, you're just digging yourself a deeper hole.
Here's
Yes,
also
just
something.
tell him what the rule is and then give the coach a chance to talk to him.
Here's something else to remember. We could always do some preventive officiating out there when we see something like this, maybe in between innings or when we see him engage with the thing, or in between innings, kind of just go, pull out your lineup card, pull the coach out there and say, hey, I see your guy engaging with both hands together. Can you please have a talk with him? Make sure he engages with both hands apart. Next one, I'll have to peg him. And I would say do this at the freshman level and the JV level where you see it the most. At the varsity level, I'm not giving any warnings. I'm going to peg him. I mean, at the varsity level, and then let the coach know. And between innings, make sure you let him know he's got to step in and engage with the hands apart, or I'm going to peg him again.
And I've done that several times. After the inning, I've gone over to the coach and demonstrated what he's done wrong. And then say, coach, if he does that again, I'm going to have to call a balk. And that usually takes care of it.
Yeah. I would avoid demonstrating it. We don't like it when coaches come and demonstrate to us. So I would just tell him what he's doing. And as John mentioned, if you're talking to a coach while you're looking at your lineup card, nobody else in the world knows what you're talking about. So it's a good way to communicate. You can say a lot of things with the lineup card in your hand. You
And
know,
that's very
and it doesn't rile up
preventive
the crowd.
umpiring.
Yep.
Wayne?
Yeah, I put a message and note in chat. I was going to say, if you guys want to discuss illegal pitching motion while in the stretch position, I've seen pitchers where they set up in the stretch position, but then they do a full windup. Anyone?
You mean they take a rocker step or something like?
Yeah,
in-
they're in the set position. They have their hand, you know, they have their hand to their side or whatever like that,
right,
and they're
right.
looking to signal. And then the first step they do is their non-pivot foot steps toward first base and does a rocker step and pitches.
Yeah, well, that's a balk.
Right.
You know, and again, that's, you know, just, you know, bad instructing and you know, and bad coaching. But yeah, we're seeing that at some levels. You know, and like I say, guys, the quickest way to teach them not to balk is to enforce a balk on it. You know, now that they got a guy in scoring position, they're going to get, you know, you've got their attention. The you know, the other one, the no step pickoff, where he's basically pivoting on his front foot, is getting more and more prevalent. So you don't see any daylight and distance. His non-pivot foot, his free foot, is essentially in the same place when he makes that throw to third.
So
Yeah.
for those, for those that don't know, and new guys that's on the line right now with us, what Mr. Grenko is talking about is essentially you're in your set position. He comes set, and then he puts his arms up, and he steps backward. When he does that,
No.
is that what you're talking about, Dwayne?
No, I'm talking about being in the stretch position where your hands aren't come together yet.
Oh yeah,
You're looking in to take your signals, and then he starts his motion from the set position.
Gotcha.
Right.
It's just not legal. It's not
Right.
not a designated motion that you can do from the set position, which makes it an illegal motion.
Right. Well, you have two flaws in there. One, he doesn't have any kind of stop point usually when he does that, and two, he's stepping directly towards a base and not throwing to that base, you know, and then trying to make a throw home. Yeah. So, you know, I could tell the coach, look, I got no stop and I've got no step.
Earlier, Tom Litchfield brought up this, the different set motions, you know, with the glove, the ball and the glove being at chin level or below. I've called balks, and I'd like to hear if I was wrong in calling them, but I've called balks where the pitcher would had different set motions. One was at his chin and one was below his chin. And my interpretation was he was trying to deceive the runner by having different set motions, one at the chin and one below the chin. Any comments on that?
You know, let's get the term deceiving the runner out of our vocabulary. It is the pitcher's job
To deceive the runner.
to deceive the runner. You know, he's got to deceive the batter and he's got to deceive the runner. That's what he's doing. As Tom explained, though, I can vary my set position. You know, I can't ever set above my chin, but, you know, I can set at my chin, I can set below my chin, I can set at my belt, I can set, you know, down by my groin. You know, I can set any place that I choose to, you know, between my fully extended arms, you know, and my chin. And if there's any part of that glove at or below the chin, he's at or below the chin. You know, if we're not doing the Hideki Nomo set where he set up 2 feet with his arms fully extended above his head, you know. that's what they're trying to avoid. So
So what you're telling me,
Yeah.
Dave, so Dave, what you're telling me is that his set motion doesn't have to be consistent.
Nope.
Does not. So pitch number one, I could be set here. Pitch number two, I could be set at my belt. Pitch number three, it could be set back up here, and that's still legal. The other thing to add on to that is that the discernible stop. He does not have to be discernible stop at the same time every time. So if he has a longer discernible stop, and then you see pitchers do this when his guy on first base, his discernible stop will be quicker than the discernible stop if there was a man on second base. So it doesn't have to be the same discernible stop as long as it's a discernible stop.
You know, and a change of directions is not a stop. It's got to be a stop, and it's the whole body stopping. You know, more and more guys are doing this whole glove shake thing where they shake their glove down to a set point. You know, and I've seen a lot of them, and it'll stop that, but they started moving their leg before they stopped bouncing their hands. You know, that's not a stop. You know, we did not get a pause. And well, I stopped my hands. Yes, but your leg was already moved. Yeah, they, you know, and they're trying to be tricky, as somebody said in the chat. You know, it's and it's legal unless it's illegal, and and they're trying to get there. They're trying to fool the runner, with their motion, and then they're going to try to fool the batter with their pitch. So, let's watch them. Let's balance. And all right. And we got who popping up? Eric, go ahead and unmute with your question.
Let's see, am I on mute? All right, thanks, guys. So it's actually not really a question. It was something that was talked about in terms of like the step to first base from a lefty, or that spin move by a righty, especially in the two-man system. That's the plate guy's call, because he has nothing else to do but watch that. And then one, thank you for including me. I'm one of the out-of-state guys that Dana sends these things to, and so It's really awesome that you guys are willing to let me do this. But it's not a 45-degree step. It's more towards the base or more towards the plate. Is how you tell.
Yeah, the 45 doesn't appear in the rule book anywhere. It's a rule of thumb that's been in umpire manuals and everything for years.
It used to be in the college one.
Yeah, and but we're not going to go out there and draw lines on the mound or anything out and take our protractors out and everything else. You just have to make a judgment, and sometimes you just got to umpire, guys. And if he's flirting with that line where he's closer to home and closer to first, it's your discretion. Get him. If you think he has gone too far, and they'll keep working that pick point, that pick landing point, until you tell them to stop. The way we indicate stop or you've gone too far is with a balk call.
And I would add to that, Dave, call if they're doing that step movement, this, whether it's towards the plate or towards the base, and you're going to balk them, call the balk early in the game. And as I was progressing over the years, not being sure of myself, sometimes I would call the balk in the later innings, and the guy's been doing it for most of the game. That's when you're going to get yourself in trouble. So if you start noticing that step or not a step towards one of the bases, call the balk early. It got me out of a lot of hot water over the years as I started to get more confidence in myself, and when I was challenged, I could, with that confidence in myself, I could explain to the coach, listen, this is what I saw. He didn't step directly towards the base. That's why I balked him.
Yes, sir. All right. Do we have anything else from anyone before we wrap up this evening?
One
Hey,
more.
Dave,
The video is going to be on the YouTube channel. There's going to be some links so that you can go back and watch it. We didn't put all the COVID rules in there because we didn't want it to be like a 1 year specific thing. Wanted this to be something that we can go back and refresh ourselves and our memories every year. Dana did send out an email this afternoon that I was looking at where she is discussing our escalation for people not wearing their masks, and you'll see, I think we were discussing this earlier. There was lots of masks protecting the chin at some of the games this weekend, not so much covering the nose. So again, if it comes loose during action or activity, we need to remind them, hey, let's put it back in place. If it's something where they're consistently not wearing it properly, we have our escalation criteria that were sent out this afternoon. So read those, familiarize yourself with those, get ready. Dana, I have a question. I guess as El Dorado got on a 2-week COVID delay this afternoon. So as we see those, they can't have any extracurriculars if the school is out. Is that correct?
That is my understanding. I'm sure you'll be seeing some cancellations forthcoming, so we'll keep everybody posted on that. But I believe that is accurate.
Dana, I can confirm that all El Dorado baseball games have been canceled up to the 27th. So there'll be no games on the 27th, and they will figure out what's going to happen with rescheduling and all that stuff. I've already been in touch with El Dorado High School. So, yeah, those games have already been canceled.
Thanks, John. Mark Walliser, you've got your hand up. If you'd like to lower your hand and unmute, or if it's up accidentally, you can just lower your hand.
Tap to speak. Okay, I just wanted to address the movement I've seen in some, even in the major leagues, where they come set, they look toward the base, look toward home, and then step toward the base, usually third or first. Oh, what? Come on. Yeah, okay. So that to me is a legal move. Looking toward home does not commit the pitcher. And if he steps toward third, that's a legal move. Is that correct?
So it doesn't matter where he's looking with his eyes. It matters what he does with his motion. So if he steps towards first to pick off a player at first base, that's legal. He could look at home, he could look at second base and make that step and it's still legal. So it's not what he does with his eyes, it's what he does with his motion.
Yep.
You can't block with your head.
Yep. That's my interpretation. I saw it a 10-year-old do it this weekend, and I was like, wow, that's a pretty good move. But they was, oh, it's a block. It's like, no, it's not a block. It's not a block. So yeah, that was, I just want to make sure I was right.
Yeah. Sometimes it's always good to, there's a lot of first base coaches that are trained to yell balk by the football coaches that stand on the sideline and yell holding every play. Yeah. So, just ask them, hey, what did you see?
Yeah.
And you watch their eyes glaze over, and then it's their turn to try to explain to you what they saw that they think was illegal.
That's a good suggestion. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Hey Dave, I just want to bring up Dave real quick. Someone said in the chat about the casebook play, and I knew this was going to probably come up because I am aware of that case. 624 situation B with R1 on first, F1 attempts to pick off while stepping at an angle, but to home plate side. Ruling balk to comply with the requirement to step directly toward. F1 must step to the first base side of a 45-degree angle between center of pitcher's plate and between home plate and first base. 6-24-B. Guys, just don't ever use that 45-degree in your language, because 45-degree is not in the rule book at all. And I wish they would take it out of the case book, but it's not in the rule book. Just say that he stepped towards home, and that's why you are calling a balk. So just thought I'd let you guys know that.
And I like Jim's explanation. Yes, it is geometry, but the only time I've gone out and drawn that 45-degree line was during training for umpires, not during a game. So don't go out there with your foot drawing lines. Doesn't look good.
With telling the coach, so what was the balk? Make sure you don't do that to a former fellow umpire like I did once, because I got a full earful of what exactly it was he wanted me to call.
Yeah, well, I mean, and if he's got a good explanation, okay, maybe I missed it. The answer is I didn't see that, but I will continue to look for
it. He gave me a full explanation of what he wanted, and I was not prepared for him to do that.
Yeah, always be prepared. We had a couple of them. Tom was saying, I think in his games this weekend, a catcher's interference in the first inning. So we've got to be ready for it, because if it's weird, it's going to happen, especially after everybody's had a nice long layoff. So we've got to be ready to not be surprised from the time we walk onto the grass, guys, or the plastic or dirt, as the case may be.
The best one I ever had was a coach's son did not pause, and I got to bah before the father said, "You got to pause." I didn't even get to complete my call, and the coach told his kids what he'd done. I got to bah, and that's as far as I got before the coach yelled out, "You got to pause." So just know your rules.
Yep. And so he knew exactly what he had done, didn't he? That's not how he coached him.
Oh yeah, and it was a loud voice from behind home plate as well.
All right.
So one more thing, Dave, on this, or Tom, on this issue of discernible stop. So I went to the dictionary today and looked up the word discernible. And there's about 7 or 8 adjectives or explanations for discernible. And I guess what I've concluded is that what's discernible stop to me in a game may not be a discernible stop to my partner or another umpire. So it's come down to pretty much judgment. Am I correct?
It is. You are correct. It is judgment. I discerned that he did, and you discerned that he didn't. But if you discern that he didn't, and I think he did, Jeff, we're going with your call, and I'll back you up every day and twice on Sunday.
The other thing I want to just as we close up here, be ready for anything. In the top of the first inning, I had batter interfering with the catcher's throw. Also in my game, I had a swinging strike 3 on a hit by pitch. We also had a couple of pickoffs and we had a catcher's interference. So that was in, right out of the chute to begin the season. So be ready to get the first one.
Yep. Usually the first balk is going to occur pretty quickly right after that first runner gets on, guys. They're not prepared. They're not thinking, and they're going to make a mistake with their motion. All right. That's what we had for this evening, gentlemen. I'm glad everybody could join us. Hope you had fun. And, I hope to see you on the baseball field.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you to our presenters this evening. And it was awesome seeing Tom Litchfield wearing nail polish. So that was fun, and an earring. There was a lot going on. And I don't know, the wardrobe. I didn't even know that we had a budget for wardrobe, but apparently Tom used it all in that video. But just wanted to say thank you to the presentation staff for tonight. We appreciate you, Tom, Jeff, Dave, and John. We appreciate everybody's time tonight. And it looks like we made it in an hour, so that's awesome. That's good presenting right there. Good conversation, good questions. And we look forward to seeing y'all next week, I believe. So there's a message. Is there a Facebook or group page somewhere? If you will send me an email, whoever you are, bhag87, I'll put my email address in the chat, and you can feel free to email me and I'll point you in the direction of some of the online Facebook groups and stuff that we have going on. I know baseball has a pretty active one, and then the NMOA has one as well. So if you'll email me, I'll point you in the direction of those. If anybody has any questions between now and next Monday, please let us know. I will be out majority of the rest of this week. As many of you know, my sister is undergoing surgery to have a brain tumor removed on Wednesday. So we're in a little bit of family crisis a little bit right now. So I'll be out. If I don't answer your call this week, I probably won't. I'll be very honest with you. Sometimes we have things even bigger than umpiring, which has been obviously a part of my life for 24 years. So time to prioritize and definitely be there for my sister and my parents. So if I do ghost you, as the kids say, there is a good reason for it. And I certainly appreciate your patience as I work through this week. So
Dana,
Yes.
we will keep you in our prayers and your
Thank you very
sister
much.
in our prayers. God
Thank
bless
you.
and bless.
Appreciate that.
But just remember, God doesn't listen to many prayers from umpires.
I don't know if that makes me feel
Wow, I
weird.
really hope that's not true, because I say a whole lot of them.
Because all I'm having, like, my family are umpires and officials. So
Wow.
Dave, thanks for that uplifting message. Gosh.
Well, the old
long before it was over.
Right? The old joke where the baseball game in heaven, in the baseball game between heaven and hell, God's talking about all his players, and the devil says, "That's okay, we'll win. I have all the umpires."
You know what? You ought to stop while you're ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Just stop, Dave. Robert Parcells, there are no rule books. If you officiated baseball last year, they're the exact same ones. So that's if you're new this year, you will get rule books. If you came back and you had received your rule books last year, you will not get a new set because they're the same ones because of
all right. Thanks for everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Sorry to kind of touch on the rule books. If you're new and you didn't umpire last year, just shoot me an email and I'll make sure you.
That Darth Vader, what just happened?
Yeah, that's my messages. Nate, can you get me access to the rule books for baseball and softball?
Yep, I was planning on doing that this week. So if you are looking for for online access. I'll, in fact, I'll just send the reminder to the entire group again, just so you guys have those instructions if you don't already have the Federation app on your.
Nate, are you going to be sending out the clinic information that we missed
Yep.
on that? Tuesday?
Yep, that's this is the week that I'm gonna get all that done. I know that everybody's been asking, and
Sorry.
it's been crazy, but tomorrow's the day. So
Okay.
Hey,
can you have
Nate.
a second? I need to ask you or mention to you about Crucis, an addition games. So
when
yeah,
I wrote
whenever we're down here in a second.
when I wrote my article last week about patience and grace, this is why. So we got way buried with fall sport championships. So we're just trying to get caught up with everything for spring and winter. So as I mentioned to a number of you earlier today on emails, we're getting everything out as soon as we can. We're a little backlogged right now. So we're used to having an overlap, but this year's overlap has been a little bit hairy and grueling. So we're getting through it as best as we can. But if you'll be a little patient with us, Nate's working hard on that. He was helping with getting schedules input for spring sports as well. So he's had his hands full. And I will tell you, I have been of no help whatsoever with the technology side of things. So that's kind of all dumped in his lap. Sorry, Nate, and thank you. And
I will say, as far as patience and grace, please reach out to your assigners and your sub-varsity assigners and your group leaders, because they have done a wonderful job. When I felt like I was not going to get schedules in, they stepped up and got, they got it done.